Alright, this is where I was checking out the Magic Water Tap. It looks really interesting. It's this floating faucet thing that pours into the sink like, and I just find it amazing. So I wanted to open it up on camera and just see how it worked there. Uh, this is one of the few times that I actually looked at the instructions to figure out what was going on. I'm very thankful that I did because I was very confused at the first few steps, but that's kind of how it goes. I forgot to close my door, so you will see several appearances from my dogs walking around and laying in the background, as they are currently doing when I'm recording this voiceover. The way I have my microphone set up, it doesn't directly connect to the camera, so I had to connect it to my computer, and the file got corrupted because I moved it and didn't save it properly. So here you can see me using this little cookie sheet that I used to make my crown. I just poured all the pieces on it to make sure that nothing got lost in the carpet because I have a very plush carpet. I have lost several screws in it already trying to do other things. The packaging was very hard to get open. I didn't expect it to be that hard because normally like they're just plastic that you rip open, but this plastic was super strong, at least for my weak little noodle arms, and even my dog Pepper Potts could not get it open. The screws that I found were incredibly small, which is another reason why I'm really glad I didn't do it on the carpet. So if you can see the little orange and blue thing right in the edge of the screen, that is a screwdriver that has a bunch of different bits in it. But it was too big to use with these screws, so I had to get my smaller one. So you can see me here fiddling with said screwdriver to get the right bit. And then as soon as I get the bit in, I finally start putting together the motor. So to break the illusion here, what happens is there's a motor that gets put in this white box. And then you connect the cords and the white box turns on and it starts floating up and then coming out the end of the spout. It looks really cool when you put it against a wall because it looks like it's coming out of that wall. I have it coming out of my desk and I actually terrified my parents saying, "Hey, there's water coming out of my desk." They looked horrified until they actually saw it. And their reaction, I will never get over. As you can see, my two Yorkshire Terriers tried to come and see if they could help. They could not because they do not have opposable thumbs, but they did try their best. Putting this together was actually really fun because it felt like you were actually putting something together and it was not like Lego. I really enjoyed having to connect the motor with the wires and screw those into the ports that they needed to go into, and it felt like you were actually building this tap. I do have a special interest in electrical, so it was kind of fun to be able to put that all together and make it feel like you were actually putting this thing together. The things that it comes with, unfortunately, are not stickers, but they are cutouts that you can attach to this. So there's like a globe and a sign. There's actually two signs. One sign that you can write on, and the other sign that says something or other. And then there's also a rocket ship, so you can take the spout off of this and put the rocket ship above where the spout is supposed to go. And I think that is a really cool option. I do prefer the spout because I think it's a lot funnier to play practical jokes with, and I am a big practical joker. Making brownies with construction paper is one of my top favorites. Or the vine of the water in the running shoes coming down the stairs. That one I really enjoy. But let's skip forward a little bit from me fiddling with trying to get these screws in, because it was really hard to figure out when to stop and to not over tighten it. That's one of the problems when you're putting metal screws into plastic. You don't want to over tighten it and then strip out where the screws are supposed to go. So I had a bit of trouble figuring out where the stopping point was for this box, because I didn't want the water leaking into the electrical box and then short circuiting it out and making it not work. That would be no fun. And now for the next part, and one of the only gripes that I have about this project. So it comes with this little like sink stopper looking thing, which I think is really cool. And it's supposed to, so it has this chain that's supposed to hang from and look like it's floating from the tap. The problem is that the magnet inside the tap is not strong enough to hold up the chain by itself, which I find really sad and disappointing. I did have some extra magnets that I just stuck on the bottom side of the magnet inside the tap. You can see it, but it also actually lifts up the chain. So if you ever go on Amazon, get like really cheap magnets, they don't have to be that strong. They just have to be slightly stronger than the magnet inside the tap. But that is the one and only gripe that I have with this little craft. Otherwise, I think the rest of it is actually so amazing. It only takes 2 AAAs, which I think is pretty nice. And now it's kind of time to spoil the magic. So the way this stands up is it has a plastic tube that shoots the water up, and then it hits this blue piece on the tap, and it comes back down outside of the tube, and that's how it looks like it's running water. When it's turned on, you don't even notice the inside tube at all, and unless you stick your finger in it, it actually looks like the tap is pouring water. Even Pepper Potts, who supervised this project, agrees that it's pretty cool. But let's skip to the end to actually adding the water. As you can see here, the project manager was checking up on my work and making sure everything was up to code as I went to go get the water to put in and do the final test for. And here it is. All you gotta do is put the water in. I did mix the water with some glow-in-the-dark blue pigment so that when you shine a UV light on it, it does glow a little bit. I am going to try and get some of the red and green glowing pigments to... Is there something you have to say, project manager? The final comments from the project manager are, "This is super cool." And it was unfair that she was not included more in the final cut of the video. It's really hard to tell from the video, but it does glow really well. White is not supposed to glow that well in UV light. All in all, I am really happy with how this turned out. It's a really good prank to get, a really fun project for kids and tweens to do. I think teens are a little older, but I am in fact 18, so who knows, maybe it's something adults want to get into as well. My final review is 9 out of 10, and 9.5 out of 10 because of that one magnet. But anyway, catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.